I'd like to call the March 14th, 2024 Peters Township Planning Commission meeting to order. Can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Magrino and Ms. Corbel have already indicated to me that they will not be in attendance tonight. Mr. Cartaphillis.
Here.
Mr. Wiley.
Here.
Mr. Mills.
Here.
Mr. Salepis.
Here.
Mr. Waldinger.
Here.
Can I get a motion to approve our February 8th, 2024 regular meeting minutes as well as the February 22nd, 2024 special meeting minutes?
So moved. Second?
You second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Any public comment on items not on the agenda? Hearing none, no old business. New business, the Froebe Gardens residential development.
Yes, thank you. What you have before you is a new residential development plan. This is for the Froebe Farms property, and this is actually one of what were 3 plans for the site. The 2 previous plans have been reviewed by this body. The first one was approved with conditions by the Planning Commission and eventually denied by Council back in December of last year. Froebe Farms 2 we just recently reviewed. That was denied by this body and is currently under review by Council. And like many of the other plans, we will be reviewing this under the Conservation Residential Overlay Zoning designation. In terms of the plan itself, this latest iteration basically includes more dwelling units and some additional dwelling types. And just to note, the approval deadline on this is May 8th, 2024. So real quickly, looking at the existing site, it's an 87-acre site. We're pretty familiar with the site itself. It's situated between Peterswood Park and the 1781 Club, thank you. There's a couple of unnamed tributaries that flow through the site. In the past, we've discussed 2 large, very old oak trees that are situated on the property itself. The Environmental Quality Board has suggested and recommended that we work to preserve those trees. And also a more recent discovery has been that there is an abandoned gas well located on the eastern side of the property. In terms of development itself, this again is going to be a 4-phase development. In this case, it comprises 191 dwelling units. 23 of those will be attached units or townhomes. The remaining 168 units will be single-family detached homes on lots ranging from just under a 1/4 acre to a little over a 1/3 of an acre. The layout is very similar to what you've previously seen, with a few exceptions. In phase 1, for instance, we have 5 additional lots, and what they've essentially done is created some additional lots by making the lots smaller in phase 1 along this road here. In addition to that, phase 4 sees probably the most amount of changes, and that has to do with the dwelling unit types. Here we have 23 additional townhome units, as well as a handful of single-family units, which in the end nets us an additional 16 dwellings in phase 4 as opposed to the previous versions. Stormwater is going to be the same. It's managed by 3 separate facilities on the site. And sanitary sewer service for phase 1 will be fed by gravity, and then phases 2, 3, and 4 will be done by conveying it to a pump station and then pumped out off-site. So there's a number of outstanding issues that we still have. Here are some of those issues, but it's not the only issues that we have. Staff and our consultant here has reviewed the plans. Some of those conditions or outstanding issues include some issues surrounding the gas well that we discovered on the site. We need to show the easements as well as the gas wells on all the plan sheets themselves. Also, we're looking to see where those white oak trees are on the plan itself, as well as any type of conditions or efforts made to preserve those trees. We are also looking to work with the developer to develop a conservation residential inventory and site design plan for the site. We currently do not have any schematic or concept drawings for the realignment of Froebe, as well as the reconstruction of a section of Froebe Road to township standards. There's some issues with the traffic calming that they're proposing, so that needs to be updated, as well as the traffic impact study, which the previous traffic impact study was for 170 or 171 units. This one, obviously, with 191 units, needs to be accounted for in that traffic impact study. And then in terms of some of the issues with the new townhomes, there's a lack of clarity as to how the private drive that services these single-family attached units, how that will be maintained and who will own that. We also need some additional detail on how parking is going to be handled for these units. Are we talking some of the spaces will be inside a garage? Is there one space, two space? What about the width of the driveway? Will that be able to accommodate 2 cars or just one? In addition to that, it was hard to tell the actual width of the townhomes. We do have a maximum requirement of 24 feet per unit. It looks like they may be a little bit larger than that, at least on some of the end units. And also it was noted that there are some potential impacts to natural water courses or the streams that I mentioned as they flow through the site and as they were noted on the delineation report. So with all that said, and some of the other conditions noted in our reviews, we are not recommending approval at this time as these comments do need to be addressed. We are recommending that the plan be tabled to give the developer time to address that, as long as he's willing to acknowledge and to work towards addressing those comments. And again, I'd just like to point out that we do have that 90-day time clock, which will expire on May 8th, but that still gives us a chance to act on the plan itself on April 11th, and council can then turn around and act on April 22nd. And that's assuming that there is no time extension. If there is a time extension, that could go further. That would be at the request of the developer and the agreement by council for that time extension.
Please introduce yourself.
Sure. Good evening. John Schleicher with JMS Engineering. Yes, I think Mark did a pretty thorough job of explaining the application to the board. I can elaborate on that a little bit more, give a brief presentation, but fundamentally, we're requesting to be tabled and offering an extension, accordingly to the township for consideration. We received the township engineer review and the traffic engineer review, and then we received the staff, the bullet points and the staff recommendation and review just last week. So we're in a process of addressing those matters, and if there's any questions that we could incorporate into those technical matters as well from the board, we'd be glad to do so. Otherwise,
So you're formally requesting a table right now?
yes, sir.
If I may just interject, the issues that are on the screen there, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, really, I count 7 pages of concerns. So like you started out saying, contains outstanding issues, including but not limited to. It's certainly what I read it. There's just many more issues. Yeah. So we're given that the developer's agent has also requested the same remarks as I'm hearing from the staff, I like to make a motion that we table this until you guys can get a lot of these questions answered, new plans back to us, and table this for further consideration.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So audience, apologize. There'll be another time, unfortunately, since it's tabled. We will not be addressing the Froebe Gardens issue tonight. More than welcome to stay, or you're more than welcome to leave, whatever you want to do. So this issue will be, Mark, you'll send something around when they are up again, or
I'd recommend checking our website. We'll post an agenda and a news item stating when it'll be back on the agenda again. Hopefully, it would be April 11th. Thank you. But I would just double check our website.
Please come up.
I was just going to say, I'm up at 101 Meredith Drive.
Okay.
What about issues that weren't on here? Mark sent you the email with our additional concerns.
Yeah, I
Are not
suggest any audience have any comments or concerns, please email staff, and they'll get it to the commission in advance.
Well, the other thing about that is the plans are going to change based on their comments, so there's no sense in having a discussion tonight about things that may be modified.
Well, I can tell you in this case, this is very specific to the road realignment.
Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the, yeah, if people want to leave, or I think this one might be.
Clear out before we
Next on the agenda is the Neemus Holdings LLC Consolidation and Dedication Plan.
All right, staff has received the Plan Commission application for review from Andrew Zahalski, owner of the property located at 801 to 821 Beebout Road, for the aforementioned consolidation plan. The execution of this plan is a prerequisite for the Zahalski Plaza final land development plan that is currently under consideration. As a reminder, the property stretches north from Beebout Road, Valley Brook Road roundabout along the western side of Beebout Road. The Orchard Highlands residential development is situated to its north and west. Brush Run enters the property from the north and runs along its western edge. A wetland is located on the southern end of the property to the east of Brush Run, and the topography drops off steeply from west to east from Beebout Road towards the Brush Run floodplain. The applicant is proposing to consolidate the 5 existing parcels into one lot as required for approval of the Zahalski Plaza plan currently under consideration. Existing driveway easements are proposed to be extinguished. Several storm and sanitary easements are proposed to be added to the plan as required for the overall Zahalski Plaza land development plan. As demonstrated by the displayed table, the newly consolidated lot will comply with the dimensional requirements of the mixed-use activity center district. Several outstanding issues need to be addressed, however, they are minor in nature. As such, staff recommends that the Neemus Holdings LLC Consolidation and Dedication Plan be approved subject to the following: a revised plan be submitted addressing all outstanding staff comments prior to consideration by Township Council, and Peters Township Sanitary Authority approval of the plan.
The applicant want to come up, introduce yourself, please?
Good evening. Kim Gales, the engineer for the project, and I have Mr. Zahalski here also. As we discussed last month, we're here before you just to approve the consolidation plan before we resubmit the land development plans for approval from this board. So
Yeah, let me explain to the audience. So what they're doing here today, they're not building anything, they're not proposing to build anything. There's 5 existing lots. They're going to be removing those lot lines so it just becomes one lot. And based off the staff's review, we're not looking at putting building, we're not talking about traffic, we're not talking about, flooding concerns. It's just removing lot lines to become one lot. So this is not what they came for last month that got pushed back. So just so everybody understands what they're doing. Kim, if you have anything else to add to that.
I think that's it. And then
Anything from staff additionally on this?
No, just like I said, there's a couple of very minor issues that don't materially affect the plan. It's stuff like clauses that need to be signed and all that. So
On the consolidation?
Yes. Kim, I believe I mentioned there's another review letter coming. I'll probably have that to you next week. Just have
before
those,
council. Yeah.
have those addressed before we take it to council as well.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay, any audience comments relating to this consolidation? Please introduce yourself and your address.
Carol O'Toole, 206 Ridgeview Drive.
And John Jones, same address.
Okay, last month you said it was going to be 5 lots, and now you're going to just put it into one. And what is your
No,
plan?
it is 5 lots currently.
Okay, right, and you're going to put it into one?
Well, they're just removing those lot lines.
So what are your future plans? Are you going to build there?
Yes, we do plan.
Okay, so what is the timeline for that?
They currently have a 180-day extension Planning Commission would act on that by early August, I believe, is the date that 6 months end up. And for anything time before that, that would be up to the applicant in getting everything, addressing all the outstanding comments.
Okay, so you're just going from 5 to 1, and you're still going to build, and we're still going to have water issues. Did you see?
No, this is kind of like a legal point they're doing tonight to put it into one lot.
Okay.
You'll have to come back again. We're not addressing water issues right now. We're not addressing building issues. That's going to be a whole other meeting.
So why, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the last time we were here, we were told letters would be going on.
To notify.
For the actual development, not for this.
Well, I mean,
consolidation plan.
that's a
No.
fine point, but we
You-
weren't notified that this was going to happen tonight.
You did state.
We did show up because we thought it might.
But you did state that.
I stated I would send them out for the actual
Well,
development, not for the
that's
consolidation plan.
that's
For
fine.
the next meeting, you did say that.
It's all part of the same thing, so, you know.
Right,
We
that was negligence on your
really
part.
should be getting notice all along here. We live right up from this. I mean, you know, there's people, I'm sure, here that will be looking right at this thing. So we should be being notified of everything.
Of every step of the
And I
way.
know it's a fine point, and I understand, sir. that,
And I
you know,
do.
The consolidation isn't about the building.
Yeah, and they'll have to do, I don't know if you came to that last meeting, you saw
We
all
did.
the comments, and I'm
And we
sure we'll
spoke.
be getting more comments, and any other issues you guys have, please notify staff.
So what's the,
But, you'll be notified if they would come in front, they may not come, I don't know. Right now, they're doing the first step, which is basically on the deed itself, it's gonna be one parcel.
so what's the purpose of going from 5 to 1?
It'll eventually, their plan is they could not come in front of this body with that site plan last time because they didn't consolidate. That was illegal.
It
So-
requires to eliminate all those lot lines, so they have one lot.
One big lot?
Yeah, and we cannot deny them because they're not coming in front of us with a site plan. All they're doing right now is putting in one big lot.
Understandable.
So, and staff will notify you guys well in advance before site plan approval of this,
Oh, yeah.
correct, Jim?
So what were the relatively minor comments?
There are clauses on every plan that are required. Usually, people sign them. I know this commission has to sign them. Our township manager, chair of council signs them. There were a couple that were missing, and I just want them added before.
I mean, that's all it is?
Yes.
Okay.
They were not material to the actual plan itself.
Well, I understand, but we don't know what they were, so that's why I was asking.
And so you know, this is a recommendation to council. Mark, when's the council meeting on the same issue?
On this issue, it hasn't been scheduled yet. As soon as it could be would be the first meeting in April, which is the second
So
Monday.
they'll basically hear this exact same thing again, and they'll have to.
April 8th.
April 8th.
April 8th.
And then who do we direct our letters to?
Probably Mark Holdren or Jim
Directly to
Suter.
me, and then I provide them to council as well. Well, it can
Okay,
be
because I have a whole list of questions.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other audience comments on the issue? Please,
Stephen Simcoe. I live at 119 Meadowbrook Circle, right behind where this building is going to be proposed. One question I had was regarding core drillings. We know that this is pretty much all fill in this area. Is there a requirement to take core drillings at each one of these lots to make sure that they're stable before you decide to combine them?
not with respect to consolidation. That would be before site plan approval. They'd have to go and do all that testing.
All right, very good.
And again, if you want to remind staff, please email them on those issues. Any other concerns of the audience? Is it a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Neemus Holdings LLC consolidation and dedication plan as outlined in staff's memo dated March 8th, 2024.
And I'll second the recommendation.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is the Trax Farm Subdivision Plan Number 4.
Staff has received the Planning Commission application for review from Keith Higgins, Surveyor for and on behalf of Trax Farms Incorporated, for the Trax Farm Subdivision Plan Number 4. As you may recall, the Trax Farms Consolidation / Subdivision Plan Number 2, which involved the same property, was approved by council. However, because that plan involved property also in Union Township, their approval was necessary. Union Township voted to approve the plan, but imposed conditions that were unacceptable to the applicant. As a result, this plan was withdrawn by the applicant. The plan now being considered is entirely within Peters Township and does not require Union Township approval. The property extends north from the intersection of McClellan Road and Turkey Foot Road, with the eastern property line coterminous with the boundary between Peters and Union Townships. It narrows past 3 parcels containing single-family dwellings before widening out and crossing Sugar Camp Road and ending just north of it. The property is mostly farmland and includes portions of 2 ponds. A gravel driveway with access off of Turkey Foot Road exists in the southeastern corner of the property. It appears to provide secondary access to the Trax Farms market structures nearby in Union Township. The applicant proposes the creation of a new Lot 1 that contains the Peters Township portion of the southern pond. Another new Lot 3 will be created in the southeastern corner of the property with access to and frontage along Turkey Foot Road. The gravel driveways providing secondary access to the Trax Farms market will be contained on Lot 3. The remainder of the property is designated as Lot 2 on the plan. The southern portion of the property where the new lots are proposed is shown on the screen right there. Though Lot 2 is of an unusual shape, all 3 newly created lots are compliant with the dimensional requirements of the low-density zoning district, and the table displayed shows how they are in compliance. The Planning Commission will have received our staff report prior to the applicant providing a response to staff comments and a revised plan. This has since been provided with all outstanding comments addressed. As such, staff recommends that the Trax Farm Subdivision Plan Number 4 be approved subject to Pierce Creek Sanitary Authority approval of the plan.
Thank you, Jim. Keith, you want to come up?
Sure. Good evening. Keith Higgins with Keystone Surveying and Mapping. Jim's correct. You did see this plan before you before. It was Trax Farm Subdivision Lot Consolidation Plan Number 2. One of the reasons why we rescinded that plan was primarily a clean and green. The new lot created wasn't, I had in my head the 10 acres to remain clean and green, but I guess I should have spoken to the tax revenue before that. As long as it's continuous with the parcel in the same ownership and adjacent, we didn't need to consolidate it into Union Township. So armed with that new information, I decided I'd pull that plan, not to get confused with Union Township and Peters Township, have it as a standalone lot in Peters. And then the client, as I was doing that, the client threw another lot at me, which would be the lot number 3. He says you might as well just subdivide that lot out as well. All got to remain in clean and green, all continuous with the farm parcel in Union Township. So that's the latest plan, plan number 4 for Trax.
So are those red dash lines being extinguished, Keith?
They're the new lines.
Being established?
Yeah, they're the new lines. They were added by the staff to highlight the new lots.
Okay.
Point of clarification, Jim, in your memo, you indicate the plan number 1.
Yeah, that was a mistake on our part.
It should be plan number 4.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments? Any audience comments on the subdivision plan? Hearing none, can I get a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission recommends the Trax Farm Subdivision Plan number 4, including, I guess it's only 2 comments from the staff.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Last item on the agenda is the Township Zoning Ordinance Amendment, 200 block of East McMurray Road. Consideration of amendment to the Township Zoning Ordinance to remove the mixed residential overlay zoning district from property in the 200 block of East McMurray Road, more specifically known as parcel ID numbers 540-010-000-003900 and 540-010-000-0037-01.
Thank you. Real quickly, just as you stated, this is an ordinance before you. As you can see in Exhibit A, this is the portion of those parcels that you just mentioned that we're looking to essentially remove the mixed residential overlay district from. And what we see here is for parcel A, which is this parcel right in here. We're looking to remove a portion of that, about 6.5 acres of that, from the mixed residential overlay, as well as parcel B here, which is this entire parcel, from the mixed residential overlay as well. And that total of those two properties equals about 17, almost 18 acres of land. Those will be moved from the zoning district, and the properties would then revert back to the low-density residential zoning designation.
Which are half-acre lots, correct?
Which are half-acre lots, yes. And just to kind of give you a background as to how we got to the point where we're at, first off, to help orient everyone, the two parcels in question are parcel A here and parcel B. Instead of saying those numbers, just give them those designations. And what we're looking at here is this is something that staff has actually recommended the council to initiate a rezoning for these parcels. The properties in question are owned by one particular property owner here, and we also have been in contact with him and developers regarding numerous different concepts for the two parcels. And it's through these discussions that we've started to grow concerned about some issues that we see that could potentially impact the neighboring properties. So before we get into that, let's kind of talk about the property itself. This is a relatively hilly property with some slopes that are basically moderate slopes that rise from East McMurray Road down here on the southern side of the site, and rises up probably about 100 to 120 feet in elevation at different points of the parcels. The parcels themselves are accessed from a number of different points, including along East McMurray Road here and here, as well as down in here. And in addition to that, they also have access to existing neighborhood streets such as Marion Drive, Crest Drive here, and I believe this is Pleasant Avenue or Pleasant Drive. So there's a number of points for access. However, one of our issues has become is that we discovered that there's in fact 5 existing lots here that are included in parcel B. These were approved as part of the subdivision, approved and recorded back in 1959. And with those lots being able to be sold and developed independently, this limits the potential development, or rather the access to development on parcel B. And that's where our concerns started to grow, because our thought process is if they can't access East McMurray down here, the access points will be onto Marion and or the roads up here in the northern section of the parcels. In terms of what this means from a comparison standpoint of both zoning districts, the existing zoning district is it's much denser than the the proposed zoning district. You'll see that it actually has greater allowable density, the existing district has no minimum lot size, has smaller setbacks, so basically essentially more intense development. To get a little bit more specific here, you can see in this table here some of the different requirements, most notably the density In the existing zoning ordinance or zoning district of mixed residential is 6 units per acre, whereas under the proposal, it would be 1.2 units per acre, and the minimum lot size would need to be at least 21,780 square feet or a half acre. In terms of land uses, under the existing MR overlay zoning, they are permitted a number of uses, most notably including townhomes and multifamily uses, whereas if this were to be zoned just low-density residential, we're only talking about permitting single-family detached uses as well as a number of quasi-public and institutional uses down here and agricultural uses.
And one point, if you go back to that, just so the audience recognizes this, so the P means it's permitted by law.
Correct.
The S, it would be special exception, where they'd have to go through a zoning hearing board to even be allowed. So if you look at the proposed LD residential, they could have a single-family house on a half-acre lot, and that's basically all. And I guess they could have a group living facility type A, and that would have to go through special exception with the zoning hearing.
And the blanks mean it's not.
And the blanks means it's not permitted at all. And that's the proposal tonight, is to go to that zoning district.
What's group living?
Can you come up, please, sir?
Brad Hilliard, 101 Orchard Highlands Drive. What's type A versus type B? What's the definition of those?
The main difference is the number of units that's allowed in each type of facility. I know in type B it's up to 130 residents. Type A,
I'm pulling it up now.
I'm going to say it's
less than.
It's much less.
Yeah.
So that special
Type A is
condition
less.
means it has to go through a public hearing and stuff
In
like that.
front of the zoning
In front of
hearing
the
board,
zoning-
which is a separate body,
Yeah.
All right.
5 to 15 persons.
5 to 15.
Just read what the definition
Okay.
actually is.
A dwelling unit shared by 5 to 15 persons who require assistance and/or supervision and who reside together in a family-type environment. These facilities shall be maintained and operated by appropriately licensed and/or certified practitioner. And the difference with type B is, as Mark said, that's for between 16 and 130 units.
Total.
Total,
So
yes.
type B has more,
Type B has more.
A lot more.
many, yes.
So the group living facility could be a wide definition, I guess. I mean, of occupants, right?
It could be, but again, it has to go through a special
Yeah, I
procedure
understand.
to see if it even qualifies. When things say P permitted,
It's permitted by.
we can't deny that
Right.
legally.
As long as they
Special
fill in
exception
the-
is much harder process
All right.
to get approved.
Okay.
They typically
Thank
have
you.
supplemental regulations, and they need to demonstrate their compliance with these supplemental regulations to the zoning hearing board.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Do they have to show hardship for those?
No, that's just a variance.
Do we have an applicant who wants to or actually, we don't have that. This is a motion by you guys.
Well, it's a motion. I just have a couple other things I wanted to point
Go,
out.
please, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to show what the proposal, the existing versus proposed zoning map would look like. The orange hatched area represents the mixed residential zoning ordinance or zoning district as we stand today. You can see parcel A here and parcel B here. Under the proposal, you can see that it's actually much smaller, and that here, this portion of parcel A and the parcel B in its entirety would be zoned, or would basically revert back to low-density residential, which is the same as what you see in these existing.
But actually, some of those
neighborhoods.
houses are probably even on smaller lots than half acres, or are those all half acres?
They're pretty close to half acre.
Right around half acre.
Yeah.
So are the lots fronting on McMurray, East McMurray, being dissolved in?
Not as
No, they're
part of this,
still there.
that this is still, they will remain in effect regardless unless there's some action taken by the applicant to do a lot consolidation like you saw with the
But
other Zahalski plan.
What you show on the right-hand proposed zoning map,
Yeah, the lines just didn't come through.
He just didn't put the, yeah, that's a good point.
Those 5 lots, do you know how big they are?
They are bigger than half an acre.
Okay.
So it's going to end up being 7 lots total. The part that, because parcel A and parcel B are still going to be distinct, right?
Yes, but-
Those lines are not being,
They just don't, those 5 lots just don't have their own individual parcel identification.
I see.
That's why we just
Okay.
include them as in parcel B.
Can you, what's in parcel A behind the fire department right now, in the mixed use?
In this area right
Yes.
here, essentially, there's a special exception approved for a group living facility in that location.
Okay.
With all traffic showing just coming.
Just a special exception, it still has to go through the site plan approval process.
Okay.
So that's not something we've seen before?
No.
This body doesn't.
I see, okay.
And I can actually show you these are a couple of plans that prompted our concern regarding development of the site. And this is that living facility here. You can see they access actually out to East McMurray here. This is that parcel B. And these are the townhomes that they proposed in this concept. It may not even be this concept, but this is just one concept. And they access only through the existing neighborhoods.
I thought we saw this previously with the switchbacks, but
There's been numerous proposals with this.
Now I think about it, you may have given a recommendation prior to going to zoning hearing board.
Okay. On that, okay.
And this is just a recommendation
It just
that we
looks
move
familiar.
forward with the plan. I will note there is a public hearing set
Okay,
for
so
April
that's
8th.
what
And the applicant, or not the applicant, but the affected property owner is here.
In parcel B, is that a sliver of land?
Right here?
Yes.
Yes, it is a sliver of land, but the big issue with that sliver is, one, it's 40 feet wide, which doesn't meet our current right-of-way standards. And it's also extremely steep.
So access to that parcel from McMurray is out of the question.
Correct.
They would have to access it from Marion or Crescent.
Or through parcel A, if possible.
Can you please come up, sir? Introduce yourself.
Sure.
Okay, so just for point of clarification, on the initial subdivision plan.
Would you like me to go back to a particular slide?
No, if you leave that, because I want to answer Mr. Seppelus' question first. On the initial subdivision plan from 1959 that approved this, this is actually marked as a private driveway that then comes across the top, so that each of these lots doesn't have access to McMurray to disrupt traffic. They all access there, and then the original plan was created. So that actually is not just a sliver, that's actually a driveway. And if you go to, I think it was your second to last slide where you had some of the proposals. Okay, so hi, my name's Andrew Zahalski. I am actually the property owner. And what I wanted to say is that the proposed changing to the subdivision is premature, is based on false premises, and is actually illegal. So I'd like you to not vote in favor of it. So in terms of it being premature, yes, so I actually own both this property and this property. And basically that property in 2013 was added to this higher density, the multifamily overlay district, specifically because at that time, your comprehensive plan, you wanted to increase different housing options. You didn't, again, I know political whims change, but at that time, there was an argument that there was too much single-family half-acre inventory in the township, but there wasn't enough, affordable housing, smaller multifamily use. Basically, all we had was Quail Run, I think, at the time. So you guys specifically changed the zoning to allow multifamily and other uses there, and I specifically bought the property at that time under the premises that those would work out. Now, again, at the time, it was also thought, again, you guys added as a special exemption for the group living facility, and we do have a group living facility that's ending up using 8.5 acres on this side of the property, which left the remaining property to, again, give us the multifamily inventory that was communicated to me at the time was desired by the township. we have gone through several different proposals. Most of our earlier proposals did have, again, we connected Crest and Marion, Crest and Pleasant, we connect to Marion, and we had a road that came down and was going to make a four-way intersection in front of the school. So apparently, school has a lot of traffic issues already, pre-existing traffic issues, especially in the morning. And the traffic studies that you guys have done have said that a traffic light is warranted there purely based on the existing conditions, not based on any of the traffic impacts that we are creating. However, we were told in order to get approval of the plan where we connect, rather than paying the amount of traffic impact that we would be obligated to pay based on the traffic impact studies, that we would be forced to foot the bill of the entire traffic light. And we made proposals to the school district for cost sharing, which were rebuffed. We made proposals to the township for cost sharing, which were rebuffed. At that point, again, we discovered that yes, there's an older plan that has some 5 parcels there that basically block our access. So we said if we keep that out, if we keep that property out of the planning part, say those are separate lots. If we keep them out, we no longer have the option for access, and that kind of solves the issue. And we presented this this plan, which admittedly was just a concept. Based solely on this concept, this is the driving force behind wanting to do this whole rezoning. And this is where I'm getting to this is premature. Because this, again, is one concept, and personally, I don't even like the concept. And the issue is, since there's going to be a cul-de-sac here, I don't really want to route everything through the roads. I think they only have this as an emergency road for vehicles that can come up from the fire department. But my plan, and talking with the engineers, is to have a full connection there, full connection to the cul-de-sac, and so that we have access to East McMurray over there, through the nursing home driveway, rather than having to access it here. Even so, the township was concerned. They say that eventually we might want to do connection. So again, I'm working with engineers. I don't have it fully fleshed out, but basically, I have additional proposals, which again.
Do you still have that thing that's shining down or no?
It's not. I don't have.
It's not working.
Okay. But again, so what we can do is again have an initial connection where you connect up to Marion, connect to Pleasant and Crest, put a temporary cul-de-sac again, leaving those lots out, still connect to the nursing home cul-de-sac with East McMurray, and leave it like that initially, and then come such time that the township does want to participate with us, we have the ability to connect through there and eventually make it there. It's just that at this point in time, we can't afford to be fully responsible for a traffic light that all the traffic studies say is not our problem caused by our traffic, but is due to existing conditions. So that's why it's premature. The second thing I said is this proposal is based on false pretenses, because when I discussed with Mr. Lauer that we can in fact revise the plan and make this a more permanent connection, as I'm showing on the plan, Mr. Lauer testified at the full council meeting that such a connection would be disallowed because when the special exemption was made, the special exemption declared that road to be a private driveway. Now, if you go to the transcript of that zoning hearing board meeting, and it is on pages 6 to 7 of the transcript, and it's actually quoting Mr. Holdren, the township road would ultimately terminate in a temporary cul-de-sac that could facilitate development or connection to the adjacent property. We have not seen any pending land development plans for that property at this time. Not entirely true, nothing formally submitted, but they've certainly seen a lot of concepts. But as with all commercial and residential site plans and land development, we try to facilitate connections to adjacent property. Again, this is designed that we're trying to facilitate connections there. And then ultimately, the zoning hearing board said, well, we don't want to have to pay for it. We don't want to have to pay for it until the connection is made. So they declared it to be private temporarily, but the intention is an eventual connection. And again, we have Mr. Kuhn saying, I hear you. It does somewhat resolve the adjacent property with the understanding that the adjacent property we certainly think about. We think it's appropriate to have another way to exit that potential property if that property should develop. So again, the zoning hearing board was fully aware that the plan is to eventually have that connection, and Mr. Lauer, testified falsely that the fact that it was declared private means that no connection is possible. The connection is certainly possible and intended. Now, last but not least, to change the zoning, I believe would be illegal. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has defined spot rezoning as, and I'm sorry, it printed small. Okay, so they define spot rezoning as a singling out of one lot or small area for differential treatment from that accorded to similar surrounding land, indistinguishable from it in character, for the economic benefit of the owner or for the economic benefit of the owner of that lot or to his economic detriment. So again, basically what you're doing is, because we presented this concept that doesn't show a connection, you are singling out this lot, my one owner, specifically for my economic detriment, to make it impossible for me to make the multifamily homes that I purchased the lot 9 years ago for that express purpose. You're singling me out just because one potential concept doesn't give you the ability to hold me hostage for making the traffic light that shouldn't be fully my responsibility. Additionally, the court has defined a rezoning ordinance which is aimed at preventing a theretofore legal use of an integrated unit owned by one common interest cannot be supported as valid rezoning. Again, I think if you move ahead with changing the zoning for property owned by me, a single owner, specifically to prevent me from using it for my economic interest, specifically to hold me hostage when I've communicated to you that I'm willing to work with the township and have better connections and give the potential. I just want to work with you on that traffic light and not have to pay for the whole thing when it's not due to my traffic impact. And to do this and change the zoning out from under me, again, I think it's going to lead to lawsuits, and I don't want to have to pay for lawyers. You guys don't want to have to pay for lawyers. I think we should table this proposal and wait until we come back with some additional plans and see what we can do with the township. I'd rather work with you than against you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So staff, hearing the applicant's position, is this a recommendation to council on the zoning amendment?
Yes.
And when will council act upon it?
On April 8th.
And that'll be a public hearing and a vote?
Yes.
They'll have a public hearing first, adjourn the public hearing, then
Correct.
take action, assuming they like, yeah, okay. With that?
I think you have a commenter.
Yeah.
Stand up and introduce yourself.
I'm sorry, I'll handle the meeting,
Oh,
sir.
sorry.
Thank you. One sec, sir. I'm sorry, what did you say?
We have to do that.
Please come up and introduce yourself.
My name's Peter Steele. I live at 240 Ridgeview Drive. My question is, Dr. Zahalski, all due respect, how does this project relate to your project?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he just, we're talking about a zoning change. We're not talking about site plan approval. We're changing the our staff is recommending to this body to change the zoning on that parcel. Okay, it really has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Well,
what takes place here, when you grade, the dirt's probably going to go there. Just have that in mind.
Hi, I'm Barbara Verani. I live at 138 Highview. I encourage you to go back to half-acre, single-family homes. Excuse me?
So we don't want to be like worshiping.
Well, put it this way,
Well,
ma'am, just so you know, this board took unanimous action 2 years ago to remove these overlay districts. We then pushed council to remove these overlay districts. This is not the type of overlay district. This is a mixed use, a different type of zoning. Okay?
Okay.
So if you look at our current code and you look through the review, you'll see all lots are now half-acre lots. So that's already taken place.
Many, but if you are considering changing zoning for this high-density residential area, take all of your high-density residential zoning places
No,
that are not yet
that doesn't make any
developed.
sense to do everywhere.
Well, then
There's certain places
then you kick
on
out
Route
his spot
19 and
zoning
other-
argument.
No, it's really not a spot zoning issue. That's going to be up to our solicitor to address.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience comments? Any motion?
Yeah, it goes back to the original layout about school buses getting through that.
Come on up here, sir, if you have a comment.
Yeah, my name's Chuck Urchak. I live on Crest. Has anybody ever considered, like, we are going to do with school buses coming through this tight neighborhood that he's proposing right now? That has to be taken into consideration. And I know his dealings with his traffic light, he doesn't want to shell out the money for. Peters Township shouldn't have to pay for something that his plan is initiating. That's the only reason that light has to go in there, not because of the school, but because of his proposal and the property layout. So to me, that's on him. That's my opinion, and hope everybody's opinion. We don't have the deep pockets to pay for lights we don't need. Everybody else agrees.
But the traffic studies don't agree. The engineers don't agree.
That's your opinion.
Go, please. Any other comments? Nope. No.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion based on what I've heard tonight and what I've read. I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission recommends to council that the staff's recommendation of consideration of this amendment to remove the mixed residential overlay zoning district from the property in the 200 block of East McMurray Road, more specifically as the parcels already aforementioned, and that we go back to the low-density zoning for this area.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anything else, Jim, on the agenda or Mark?
Yeah, man.
No.
All right. Meeting adjourned.